filling up very nicely for the season. And of course, this is a time when we have to make it while the sun shines and make hay while we can. In this tourism business, we know we have some good times, excellent times during the winter season, and then we have some very poor times in the summer. And I continue to say to stakeholders who are invested in tourism that they make the best of the times when the money is flowing, and they learn to save a little something because they understand that there will be an off season. But we have a lot to talk about. It's 5 minutes past the hour. I won't go into my usual lengthy soliloquy this evening because I have a very important guest with me who has come to share some information with you. And he has been here before, so he's no stranger to the show. And so with that, I turn you over to Mr. Nisbet. Mr. Nisbet, welcome again to On the Mark. Welcome back. And I'm happy that you have chosen this forum. It's a widely listened to platform to share your information with us. And so I turn the show over to you, sir, so you can tell the public why you're here and what it is you have in store for them.
Thank you very much, Mark. Again, thank you very much for permitting me time to be on your program. I say it's a very well listened to program that folks tune into. I want to say good evening to everyone out there in Radio Land. And I don't think it's too early to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm a member of the St. Paul's Anglican Church, and we're promoting our annual, actually it's our 6th annual boat ride to Montserrat on the Jade and Sun on Boxing Day. The price is only the same low price of $300, which includes all taxes and fees. The boat leaves Nevis at 4 a.m. Boxing Day and leaves Montserrat 9 p.m. And we have a cutoff in terms of ticket sales, and that's the 22nd of December. So I would invite everyone to get the tickets quite early. And of course, the St. Paul's Anglican Church, we're raising funds, not because we like money, but because we need the help. You may recall that some years ago, we renovated the old girls' school in 2011 at a cost of more than $500,000. Of course, it was all a local project. It was financed by Bank of Nevis, the local architects, the Honorable Spencer Brand, the local contractor, Flamingo, who did an excellent job. And I want to shout out Flamingo this evening. I know he's been having some health issues, but he has a very positive spirit, so
Absolutely.
I know he'll make it. The building was renovated using most of the original stones, and to that we added the kitchen and bathrooms with showers, and is now used for Sunday school, as a meeting hall, for seminars, and as a disaster shelter as well. We have a rich history of the Charleston Girls' School. Some of you may recall that it was constructed in 1900 and run by the church in an era when the church took responsibility for the education of the people. In 1915, the government took over the responsibility of education, and the building was used to educate girls until 1984, when the schools in Charleston became integrated. In 1992, the building ceased to be an educational institution, and you may recall two of those headmasters, Lindis Walters and Maud Cross. But interestingly is that the government used the building free of cost for all those years. We also have a historic monument there in our church. History says that there was a wooden structure on the same lot built somewhere around the 1680s, and around 1712, the building, as it is today for the most part, was constructed. The building is very old, and the roof is leaking, and we're looking to repair the roof. Estimates has it at about $1 million, and part of that is because the walls are over 300 years old, and once we take down the roof, we'd like to put it back in the same architectural design, but we're not sure what is up with the walls. We're not sure when we open the walls whether they'll be in relatively good shape. So that's why we're having the boat ride again to Montserrat this year. And of course, in Montserrat, there's a lot of stuff to do. You can either go visiting the sites of where the volcano ravaged the island, or some people have even been talking about going over to Antigua for half a day. We understand that both the Odyssey Band and the Core Band are negotiating to be on the road in Montserrat. It's Montserrat Juve, and in Montserrat the Juve is all the Juve, not like here in Nevis or St. Kitts, where the Juve ends at 10 or 12 o'clock. It's all the Juve. And perhaps this year we may have two bands on the road in Montserrat. Some people may even go to visit the Soka Arrows grave place, and we know you'll have a good time, no matter what you're doing in Montserrat. So we're inviting everyone to help us raise some funds and have a good time in Montserrat on Boxing Day. Again, we're going on the Jade and Sun. It carries a little over 200 passengers. The fare is only $300, which includes all taxes and fees. And remember that the cutoff date is December 22nd. So we're looking forward to your full support, and we thank you in advance. Of course, you know that our church, we're not sitting idly by. We have to pay mortgages. So our next activity here in Nevis is going to be our Christmas program, which is going to be on December 22nd at our church, St. Paul's Anglican Church in Charlestown. Thank you very much, and look forward to your support.
Mr. Nisbet, could you give us again the information on the boat ride, the dates, and where we can buy tickets and how much?
The fare is $300 for the Jade and Son. It's on Boxing Day. It leaves Nevis at 4 a.m. and leaves Montserrat at 9 p.m. Tickets are on sale at Evelyn's Drugstore, from Stephen Jones, from Eddie Richards, from the St. Paul's Anglican Church Rectory in town, from yours truly, from Harlem Shelter, from Cedric Juport, and from Tony Musicman Broadbelt.
Okay, and the deadline for purchasing tickets?
Is again December the 22nd. We know that they're selling like hotcakes, so please don't wait until the last minute and say, please hold a ticket for me, because it's going to be a first come, first serve basis.
All right, and the boat holds how many again, remind us?
A little over 200 people.
200 people.
So there's plenty of room, but get your tickets early, please.
Okay, good. All right, Mr. Nisbet, I wish you all the best. I thank you again for coming and for sharing that very important information with us. And certainly, I hope that one and all turns out. It's a worthy cause, of course, to go to Montserrat. I myself have not been to Montserrat in many, many years. I think I was last there when I was in sixth form. So that was a very long time ago. But certainly, I know that people go, they have a great time. And in addition, of course, it's for a worthy cause to raise some money, much needed money, you know, for the church. And they say anything you give to the church is multiplied and you get it back multifold. And so I would hope that people would definitely turn out and be a part of this very exciting excursion that you've planned for this year, Boxing Day, again. So they get an opportunity to travel, see Montserrat, but also to partake in the festivities in Montserrat, and clearly to do good and to contribute to your efforts at paying the bills, as you say, paying the mortgages, and your renovation efforts that are ongoing.
Thank you, Mark. Well put. Again, the Jade and Son holds a little over 200 people. It's very comfortable seating, and it only takes an hour and a half on the water.
Good. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
Good. And that was Mr. Nisbet, who came to share some information with us. We decided not to keep him, but to allow him to do what he needed to do and to get about his business. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have quite a bit to say. Mr. Nisbet has invited one and all to come to Montserrat with the church, and I certainly think that that's a worthwhile cause. And again, I certainly support the Anglican Church. They have done excellent service here in this island of ours, this island of Nevis. And the Anglicans have been here now for many years, well over, I think this suggests to me, well over 300 years that they've been here. And so I would want to lend my own support to that and to urge people to go out in their numbers and be a part of that activity. Now, tomorrow is Budget Day on St. Kitts, where the Prime Minister will lay out his budget, and we all await, of course, what he has to say. I expect that I'm going to be speaking on the budget sometime, perhaps on Friday, and so I'm asking, of course, the people of Nevis and St. Kitts to tune in to hear what we have to say in relation to this budget. It's always a good time because we get an opportunity to report on all that we have done and report, of course, on our plans and projections going forward. I had my opportunity as Premier and Minister of Finance to deliver the budget for the Nevis Island administration for the upcoming year 2020. And that budget set out, we think, a very realistic estimate of where we are and where we intend to be. It is a deficit budget. We have not hidden that fact. I think that we project that we'll have a deficit of $0.8 million, or about $800,000. But I also, of course, recognize that we have been pessimistic, because that is my own approach. I have said to them to be pessimistic about revenue. And so we have given our worst case scenarios for revenue and hope, of course, that that worst case doesn't materialize, but instead we have revenue that is unbudgeted and we do better than expected. And so we feel, based on what we're seeing, that all will be well. We have a major engine that was offline 4 seasons, is now back online, and in a major way, because I have been visiting and I'm getting reports. I had the privilege of meeting with the president of 4 Seasons Group just last night, and they're very, very optimistic about their bookings going into July. In fact, and I think this is good news for the island and good news for the workers there, I was told that between now and July of next year, there's only 1 week that they have low bookings. And that for the period of time from now until July, they are looking very good. In fact, July, I'm told, is close to 70%. And that is really good, particularly going into the off season. Forgive me, I have a bit of a cough. I don't know why. And so if I interrupt from time to time, you would kindly forgive me. So we had a delivery of the budget. And of course, the budget is a time when we hear not only the government, but also the opposition. Here in Nevis, we have a sole member of the opposition, being the Honorable Joseph Parry, who won the only seat that the NRP won in the 2017 election. The good people of St. Thomas's decided to send Mr. Parry to the Parliament. Mr. Parry did not show up for the Parliament. In the first day when the budget was read, he sent apologies saying he could not make it. And we expected, of course, he would show up the following day to do the usual. It is customary that the member opposite who speaks first will get equal time as the presenter of the budget, but that did not happen, and Mr. Parry did not show up for any of the days. It therefore meant that the opposition in Nevis, the formal opposition, that is the Nevis Reformation Party, and the opposition, the parliamentary opposition, being the person of Mr. Parry, that there was no voice. Now, I want to be very clear that that was not anything done by the government. We went to the Parliament. Mr. Parry knew that the Parliament was happening. We do not know why Mr. Parry did not come, because he did not send any reasons. He simply said he could not make it on the first day and sent no further reasons for the following days. That is for Mr. Parry, and no doubt he's a seasoned politician, once Premier of the island, and he must have had good reason. The reason I raise it, however, is that we had a very unusual budget in that only the government side was presented, and there was no view expressed from the benches opposite, which remained vacant. That in turn has led to a lot of chatter. And I use my language advisedly and deliberately, because I have a saying that has guided me in my role thus far in politics, where I say, ignore the noise. And a lot of people think it is disrespectful. I'm not being disrespectful when I say that, because I listen to friend and foe alike. But I have come to a realization at 50 years of age, yes, I'm now up in age, come to a realization that if you do not ignore the noise, you will waste precious energy focused on responding to nonsense. And a lot of what we're hearing on the airwaves, on the internet, is noise. Noise coming from people who have nothing constructive to say and no ideas to put forward to advance the interests of our people. So if you say, for example, that we will, as we did, give to Four Seasons workers who are affected $1,000 to help them to go back to school, you hear the noise start. Why it wasn't 2,000? How come back to school? What about them who don't got no children? And you hear, because there's always an effort to seek to derail, to seek to denigrate, to seek to criticize. And I'm not suggesting for a moment that the government is above criticism. Criticism is essential in any democracy. But what we want is constructive and sensible criticism. Criticism that is based on something. Criticism that offers an alternative idea for the people of Nevis and an alternative for moving the country forward. But that doesn't happen. The reality is that what we get is noise, a cacophony of sound and fury, which when dissected means absolutely nothing. And you've had examples. We heard about the German cockroaches at the Ivor Walters Primary School. Not just noise, but fake news. We hear about all these projects and all this corruption, not just noise, but fake news. We understand that noise is being made. When we could not complete some of the projects on time for school, we heard the noise, or we get unqualified contractors doing the job. People who have worked in construction all their lives and have built Nevis, being castigated as being unqualified in order to allow some people to make noise. But I ask you, have you yet heard of a plan? A plan in relation to debt? A plan in relation to the economy? A plan in relation to housing, agriculture, tourism? No. You get noise. And so when we presented the budget, there was no voice on the opposition benches. And the response that I got, I was so surprised. that the leader of the Nevis Reformation Party, that party which is now a shadow of its once mighty self, that leader actually took to NTV. And I like to talk about it when they go on NTV, because when they were in office, no member of the opposition was allowed to grace NTV. In fact, Mark Anthony Graham Brantley, had to go to court to seek to assert the right of the opposition to appear on the public television, NTV. And it is because I took the NRP government to court and won that the NRP now comes and says we have a right to go on TV. The irony, that is why we shouldn't forget, you know. That is the irony, that I am the one who spent money to take them to court. They did not at the time appreciate or understand or agree that the opposition had any right to go on the TV. And I had to go to court to vindicate that right. And the court, having agreed with me, they now come and say, oh, we want to go on TV, and we quote the case of Mark Brantley against us, because Mark Brantley win. And not one of them have ever said thank you to me, you know. Never said thank you. They just come, oops, and they sit down at NTV and they make their speech. But that's a different story. I'm happy that I was able to clear the way for them and to show them the light and to bring them out of the darkness. But they now say, because Mr. Parry absented himself from the House, Mr. Parry, who was elected and was a no-show at the House, they say that that is not fair. And they go on NTV and issue a big press release. Well, the last time I checked, the leader of the NRP, Mr. Elhansville Hector, says he's a lawyer, and I believe he is, because I think he graduated from law school. And one would expect that somebody who graduated from law school is learned in the law. It may not always be so, but one would at least expect it to be so. And so he's not only a politician leading a party, he's also a lawyer. And he issues a statement. And if I can summarize the statement, that they thought they had some gotcha moment. The statement in effect said that it is unfair that there was nobody on the opposition side to rebut or give an alternative view to the budget. And because Mr. Parry couldn't make it to the House, they're calling on me, to appoint a senator on the opposition benches. You hear what I say? Let me say it again. Big press release from a man assumed to be learned in the law, since he got a certificate from one of the law schools. And the leader in a party goes on television NTV and issues a release and says that it is unfair that there was no voice on the opposition benches in the budget, and that I should allow someone to sit on the opposition benches. Well, I thought it a remarkable statement. And then I saw some who like to say, me too, jump on the bandwagon. And the reason I found it remarkable is because they then went on to say, in days and years gone by, that the NRP, when it was then NRP, not this caricature of the NRP that we now have, but when it was the real NRP, under Sir Simeon Daniel, our national hero, they said that Sir Simeon's NRP won all the seats in Nevis, and Sir Simeon put a chap called Mr. Frederick Paris on the opposition benches. They then went further and said when Mr. Vance Amry was leader of CCM and won 4 seats, as I have now done, that he allowed Mr. Linnell Nolan to sit on the opposition benches. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we can't have it both ways. I can't speak for Sir Simeon. I can't speak for the Honorable Vance Amry. I can speak for me, and I can speak for what I see my leadership to be. My leadership, first and foremost, has to be about the law. and what the Constitution provides. The Parliament is not a rum shop, you know. And the Parliament is not mine. The Parliament is not my home. The Parliament is not a dance or a party where you say you invite people in. I have neither the right to invite, nor do I have the right to disinvite. That is a matter for the Constitution. The Constitution lays out who is qualified to be in the Parliament. And what I will say to the NRP tonight is that the first and foremost way to get into the Parliament is to win seats in an election. Mr. Parry didn't come, but Mr. Parry had the right to come. You know why? Mr. Parry won a seat. Mr. Brand was there, Mr. Jeffers was there, Mr. Evelyn was there, and yours truly, I was there. You know why? We win seats. We went to the people. I believe it was the 18th day of December. We were declared the winners, 4 seats to the Concerned Citizens Movement. The people made a decision about who they wanted to go into their parliament. And that decision said they rejected Elhansville Hector. That decision said they rejected Virgil Brown. That decision said they rejected, who did I run in Gingerland? I can't remember. Was it Corey Tyson, I believe? That decision said they rejected, was it Hensley Daniel they ran against me? I can't even recall. So, 4 were rejected. And on the other side, 4 of us were sent to the Parliament. So the first thing I have to say to this nonsense press release is that I do not decide who goes into the Parliament. I have no constitutional authority as the Premier Nevis to appoint anybody on the other side. The Constitution gives me the authority to recommend the appointment of senators on the government side. And as a consequence, we have Hazel Brandy Williams and Troy Liebert. It gives me no authority to say, Lord, it's not fair, the people, them unfair, the NRP. So, let me know, seek to do what the people said they would not do. And you have to think about it. The Constitution, for example, provides that if you run in an election, NIA elections, you run and you lose, you cannot come back as a senator. You know why? Because our framers saw the wisdom of saying that the people have rejected you, you cannot now be foisted on the people through the back door. In other countries, I see people run, lose, and they waltz right back into the Parliament as a senator, not in St. Kitts and Nevis. If you run and you lose, you have to stay out the house because the people had an opportunity to look at you, examine you, and they found you wanting. They say, not you. And there's no back door. And so otherwise than through constitutional provision, I have no authority to appoint anybody. So this idea that I must wave a magic wand and say Sheriff Brantley and his horse waves a magic wand and say, presto, NRP, put somebody in the house. That's how the thing goes, you know. The thing don't work so. The first and foremost way for you to get in is to win seats. And you only managed to win 1. And so, Mr. Parry, you can come. The rest of you, no. The people say not you. That's the first thing. The second thing is it is through winning seats that you get the authority to appoint. For example, the Constitution provides, I believe it is section 58, if memory serves, about how a leader of the opposition is appointed. And the Constitution says in terms that the leader of the opposition shall be appointed except in situations where nobody is qualified. Now what does that tell us? It tells us that the framers of the Constitution, the supreme law of our land, understood that there may be times when there is nobody who qualifies to be leader of the opposition. Nobody qualifies to be leader of the opposition. It makes that provision. It says except where no person is qualified to be leader of the opposition. And it goes on to say that the person who is going to be appointed leader of the opposition has to have the support of at least 1 other elected member. Well, Mr. Parry is in there by himself. Mr. Parry look left, he look right. He look in front, he look behind. He not got a soul with him. So he doesn't have the support of anybody. All the support is on the government side, thanks to the good people of Nevis. So we cannot have Mr. Parry appointed leader of the opposition. He is there as a sole member of the opposition. But since the Constitution doesn't permit him to support himself for the position of leader of the opposition, because it says in terms he must have the support of at least one other. Well, if it's one other, he can't be himself. Unless he's 3 man in one or 2 in one. So Mr. Parry cannot legally and constitution be appointed leader of the opposition. And if he is not, and there is no leader of the opposition, then the capacity to appoint senators on the opposition benches does not exist. Because that right is given to the leader of the opposition under the Constitution. I hope people understand what I'm saying. Because when you start to talk about fairness, Lord, it don't fear. You start to think, well, somehow the Premier has the authority to say, well, send somebody else, man. Send a youngster. Send this lady. Send that gentleman. Make them think fear. No. There was a time in Sinkits when Labour ran down there and won all 8 seats. All 8. And if it wasn't for the island of Nevis, which has always had a different disposition, they would not have had any opposition. In some countries in the Caribbean, in Barbados, Bear Mockley's administration won all the seats. In Grenada, Keith Mitchell won all the seats. And in those circumstances, one must then look to the constitutional provisions to determine whether there is any ability for the government now and the Prime Minister to appoint anybody on the opposite benches. In the Sinkits Nevis Constitution, there is no such authority. None. And so when I listen to the drivel that is out there, the noise that you hear, we have to ask ourselves the question, really, are there no serious issues? Because I entered politics in 2006. My first election was shortly thereafter, occasioned by the death of Malcolm Gishard. 2007, I believe that was, in August, if memory serves. And the approach of the NRP ever since I've entered politics, I've been there now for 13 years, has been to cuss Mark Brantley. Cuss him, talk about him, talk about how he drive, talk about how he dress, talk about where he live, talk about his family, cuss him. Call him names, cuss him. And every election, I bang them worse than the time before. Everyone, check the stats. My first election, I won by 30. Second one, I think, was 140. Then I think it was 240. Then I went up to 350. Every election, the beating gets worse. And the strategy remains. Talk about Mark Brantley daily. Every day, talk about Mark Brantley. And you don't understand that the people of Nevis are saying they want some ideas. Cussing Mark Brantley, let me tell you, newsflash, cussing Mark Brantley is not an idea, you know. It might be a pastime. For some of you, it might be a preoccupation. In fact, I believe that some people dream about me because every morning they get up, they have to find something to say. It could be my socks or my bare feet sometimes. Whatever it is, they have something to say. It could be my suit. They say it ugly. Whatever it may be. But they dream about me at nights, and in the morning they must say something. Sometimes I'm home minding my business. I'm in my kitchen trying to cook because that's my latest thing. It relaxes me. And so I tell my wife, you take a little vacation and allow me to do a little cooking in the kitchen, you know. And even that they talk about. Even that. So the reality is that this fixation, this obsession, this need to talk about an individual is not an idea. Cussing Mark Brantley is an obsession, it's a fixation, but it is not an idea. It's not something that will advance the interests of the people of Nevis. And look at all the cussers, look at them. Them on Facebook, them on Twitter, wherever they are, on radio. Those who are seeking to lecture us Every morning I get up, I thank the Lord for giving me a new day. I go, I put myself together, I put on my pants and my socks and my shoes, my shirt, and everything else that I wear. And you know what I do? I head to work. It's important, you know. I head to work. And my line of work now is to serve the people of Nevis. Hitherto, I serve my clients as a lawyer. Now, I'm serving the people of Nevis. Going to work is an important attribute. And every day you have people online, they're on the radio, they're in every forum. And you know why they have so much time to cuss me and others? Because them now work nowhere. No. Some of them will tell you how many degrees they have, all this experience they have. But they can't find a job. And they can't start a little business to keep themselves and even one or two youngsters occupied. No. Their only hope is that through some way they can convince the people of Nevis to put them back in the treasury to feed at the public trough. Because barring that, they have no other avenue for survival. None. And I ask myself rhetorically all the time, you mean if you have all this degree, all this education, all this training, and you have all this chat, you can't start on something and sell even 2 freco? The days are hot. The nights are cold. Maybe you could sell freco by day. By night you sell bush tea. But even a little something that you could say you're adding some value to the economy in Nevis. No, not them. Lord, see me a cooping, I want to get back in there. I want to get me snout in the trough. That's what I want. Because they have no other avenue. And young people especially, you must ask yourself, because you go out to work. I see young mothers in this country doing 2 jobs. You work in 2 jobs, a man now work 1. But he tell you he want to lead you. Where are you going to lead you to? Where is he going to lead you to? Because you have to ask the question of those who seem to have the answers for you, but have none for themselves. Experts at everything when they have succeeded at nothing. Look at them, look at their lives, examine them. Because if a man were to come to you now and say to you, I want you to give me the job to build your house, I believe that you're well within your right to ask him, have you built a house before? Have you done any form of construction before? What qualifies you to build a house? And hear what the answer is. Because if he has never built a house, or he has tried to build houses and they have all collapsed, then you know that this is not somebody. If somebody's telling you how bright they are, how educated they are, how many degrees they have, and you say to them, but so not even a little job by Rams Hospital or Value Mart you could get? Not even a little bartender up at Montpelier or Golden Rock you could get? Landscape, fishing, carpentry, masonry. You mean with all you say you could do? Some say they're trained as agriculturalists. Well, not even a little piece of land you could work and hire 3, 4 youngsters and create some value, pay a wage, grow some breadfruit and some banana to feed people. What is all the value of your training in agriculture if you cannot produce 1 pound of food to help the country? And we must ask these questions. Ask them. And when people are pontificating and posturing, you ask them, because each of us has a record. It's not only Jehovah God going to look at our record, you know. He going to look at it, and we can't hide anything from him, the Almighty. But we ourselves here on earth, we have a record of what we have done in our lives. And that is why I've grown concerned in this country, where all of a sudden, I see a man who's 60 years old. I wish I can get to that age when I will start to slow down. 60 years old, when most people are looking for their Lord. He now suddenly say, he's serving hot meals to people in the square. Because he has suddenly discovered at 60 years old that people in the square need a hot meal. I see people at 60 years old not going to every church in the constituency because they've now discovered at age 60 that going to church is important. People are not easily fooled. You see, when I got into politics, I was embedded in my community. Nothing happened in Brown Hill without me being involved in some way, shape, or form. Nothing. And I'm not talking about when I declared myself as a politician. I'm talking about donkey's years before. You know why? Brown Hill is where I grew. Brown Hill is near and dear and special to me. And so when I decided to make that plunge, it was not a difficult decision because I would have spent a life being involved. I remarked to someone the other when the mayor of Hamlins Road, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, when he declared that he was involved in politics, Eric did not call himself, it's people call him. There's so many are called, but few are chosen. He was chosen by the people. And you know why? Because the young man had spent a lifetime in service to the people of Gingerland. When I go with him, the amount of ladies I hear, especially the older ones, oh, this is my husband. I say, well, my God, how much wife this one man could have. Loved by the people because he has served the people. So it's an easy transition. Not them people come in the last shower rain at 60. Me not say 16, Me not say 26. Me not say 36, Me say 60. But when you get to 60, because somebody told me they saw the man in somebody out there buying Ensure. But you're at an age now where you should be seeking to do other things. But you reach to 60 and hear what? You look around and you say, boy, nothing going on for me. I don't have neither chick nor come. I have no job, I have no business, I have nothing because I have failed at everything. Let me try politics. And let me try and tell people I love people. Hey. And I'm going to go down in the square, boy. I'm going to go down there and give them some food. And yeah, boy, I love people. People are not fooled. Because people know, people see, and people have seen all of us. All of us. And that is the reason why I love politics in Nevis the most. Because we're small and we know each other. We know each other from morning. Not in the last shower rain, but from morning. So when I hear sometimes the people talking, so they're on radio, they're on internet, they're pontificating. What are they pontificating about? They say the budget and this and that about the budget. Well, let me make a few points. Point one, I did something that I was very proud of last week, Tuesday, the start of the budget debate. You know what it was, ladies and gentlemen? I laid in the Parliament the audited accounts for the Nevis Island Administration for 2017 and 2018. The audited accounts for this year are not yet due. You may well ask, why is that relevant? You know why it is relevant? Because, again, if memory serves, under Section 75, I believe, of the Constitution, it is required by law, to put audited accounts of the government in the House every single year. You hear a lot of people pontificating and talking about good governance. These are now the words that drip from the lips of those who say they want to get into government. But again, there's a record. And the record is that the Nevis Reformation Party was in office from 2006 for 5 years, and then they had 18 null and void months that took them to 2013 before we got rid of them. Now, 5 years and 18 months. In that period of time, I hope you're sitting though, because I want you to hear me. In that period of time, they never once produced audited accounts for the government. Not once. And you have to ask yourself, people who did this in government flouted the Constitution. As a matter of fact, with the benefit now of hindsight, they could have been taken to court, because the Constitution doesn't give them a choice. It mandates they must file audited accounts and lay it on the table of the House. They did none in 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012. That's 7 years. We get rid of them earlier clock, 2013. No audited accounts. When we got into office in 2013 and we saw the state, we then had to get the director of audit to seek to start to do accounts from back then. Then we all know what happened. The Treasury burned down. Whatever was in the Treasury that people were trying to hide, the Treasury miraculously, poof, went up in smoke. Burned down. And so you had the added burden and difficulty of reconstituting accounts. But we labored. And I am proud to say, ladies and gentlemen, that last week, Tuesday, I believe it was the 3rd of December, I was able to lay on the table in our parliament in Nevis the accounts for 2017 and 2018, the audited accounts, and the report from the Director of Audit, which then brought the island of Nevis and the Nevis Island Administration back into constitutional rectitude, because we had been derelict in our duty and had been operating outside the confines of the law and the constitution that governs this country. That was the NRP in government. You talk about good governance. You want to talk about expenditure. Well, how we knew what the expenditure was? When for all the years you were there, no auditor ever audited your books and never produced audited accounts as required by law. 7 years. We had to correct that. Mind we in government, you know. So we still have to focus on getting our accounts audited. And that is why I'm so proud that in 2019, I can say as the Premier of Nevis and the Minister of Finance, that this government has brought the Nevis Island Administration back into constitutional rectitude. You hear the word I'm using? Rectitude. And by so doing, we also made a commitment that never again will the island of Nevis fall into that type of shambolic behavior that we had for those 5 years and 18 null and void months. So you want to talk about good governance? You want to engage my government, a government made up of Hebrew boys and girls? You want to engage us who before God and man our hands are clean? You want to engage us? Then you must look at your own record in government, because you're asking people to put you in government. So you must look at that record and see that for all of these years, you flouted the Constitution and broke the law by never once putting in the audited reports as required by law. You can't now lecture us when you did that. But that is not all. I hear them with a huge song and dance about debt. If I was NRP, there's one word I would not mention ever. I would in fact have a meeting of all the pundits that speak on my behalf. I tell them never mention the word debt. D-E-B-T. Debt. The B is silent. Never mention the word debt, because debt is like death to the NRP. No government in the history of this island has loved debt more than NRP. And I got the numbers right here in front of me. I want you all to listen carefully. The numbers I have start in 2008. They were in office since 2006, so forgive me. I don't have the numbers for 2006 and 2007. But 2008, the debt was $287 million. Now this is debt globally. So that includes the island government. It also includes the statutory corporations, NEVLEC, Nevis House and Land Development Corporation, etc. Solid waste, etc. 2008, it was $287 million. 2009, let's count the years. 2008 to 2009, 1 year. 2009 to 2010, 2 years. 2010 to 2011, 3 years. If you have pen and paper, follow me closely. The debt in 2008 was $287 million. You know what the debt was in 2011? 3 years later, $430.36 million. an increase in debt in the period 2008 to 2011. So that is again 2009, 2010, 2011. 3 years. An increase in debt of $143.36 million. $143.36 million in the space of that period 2008 to 2011. Let us treat it as 4 years and say 2008 was a full year. 8, 9, 10, 11. 4 years. $143.36 million in new debt under the NRP. I want to fast forward. 2013, the CCM met a debt of $389.71 million. 2019, that debt is $456.45 million. The increase in debt, $66.74 million. And let's count the years. 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Put differently, ladies and gentlemen, in 4 years under NRP, the government ran up debt of $143.36 million. In 7 years under CCM, the government ran up debt of $66.74 million. You have the heart to say you're lecturing this government about debt? CCM has always been prudent. Always been prudent. And of that $66.74 million that the CCM government, having taken over in 2013, has run up, 25 of that is money borrowed from Social Security for housing and other projects. Disclosed fully. So when you extract that 25 million, you're down to about $41 million in terms of new debt that has been incurred in 7 years. You incurred $143.36 million in 4. And you have the heart to say you're lecturing people about debt. I mean, you see, ladies and gentlemen, these are the things, and that's why I like to go and look at the records. Because when you look at the records, you get a realistic sense of who is talking and what they're talking about. Because let me remind the general public that when this debt of $143.36 million was being incurred, to move us from a debt position of $287 million in 2008 to $430 million in 2011, that the CCM-led government under the leadership of Vance Emery, who was an excellent manager of the economy, that Vance Emery's government bought Pinny's estate. They paid for Pinny's estate the grand sum of $10 million US. Work with me here for a moment. Listen to me while I build the case. They paid for Pinny's estate $10 million US. They borrowed the $10 million US from a company in Trinidad called Unit Trust, I think it's called. They turned around and they sold 600 acres out of that estate. So they didn't sell the whole thing. They sold 600 acres out of the land for $21.5 million US to a company called Newfound. That company paid down $10 million. That was the first tranche, US. So, Vance Emery-led government bought Pinny's estate for $10 million US. They borrowed the $10 million from UTC in Trinidad, Unit Trust Company, I think they call it. They then sold 600 acres out of that land for $21.5 million. That to me is good business, because you buy the whole for 10, you sell off piece for 21.5. Vance Emery and his government had the good sense to say, we're going to take this first $10 million paid to us by Newfound. We're going to put it in an account at Scotiabank, a fixed deposit account. That money is going to be there so that the loan to Unit Trust in Trinidad is secured, because I have the cash at the bank in case push comes to shove. I just tell them, here's your money back. In the meantime, land was cut up. All this land, what they call it, the New Gents, and all the place where we saw beautiful neighborhoods with beautiful homes was cut up for sale. And the land up there was being sold at a higher price because it's nice land and a nice residential neighborhood. So it was fetching higher prices than the rest of land that the government had. Now in comes the NRP in 2006. NRP came in 2006. You know what NRP did? They sold off all the land up Nugents. So they got paid for that. They then somehow collected the balance of the money from Newfound for the purchase. And then they somehow found a way to empty out the bank account at Scotia. So the 10 million US that was in the bank gone, poof. The balance of the Newfound money gone, poof. And the land sell-off and the purchase price received by them gone, poof. And you know what hurts most of all? The loan to the Trinidad company, Unit Trust, still outstanding. I hope people understand that, you know. Because while this debt in 4 years of $143.36 million was being run up, you hear what I tell you? They got into government in 2006. They collected the balance of the purchase money from Newfound for the lands. 1. They sold off the lands of Nugents and Nugent Heights, whatever those areas are called. 2. And they still went to Scotia and emptied out the fixed deposit of 10 million US dollars put there by Vance Army to secure the repayment of the loan. 3. And them not pay the loan. Them not pay the loan. So when we got into office, we had a situation now where the company in Trinidad said, no, you all have used the money that was there to secure the loan. You all have sold off the lands. You all have taken the balance of the purchase monies received from Newfound and used that too. All of that gone poof. And we will not sign off for anybody to get a title. And so you have poor people who bought land up in Nugents to this day who don't have a title to their property. Because the Trinidad company is saying, fairness to us, we are owed our money and we see no effort to pay. This government, this CCM government, got back into office in 2013, ladies and gentlemen. And we have started to pay the company in Trinidad. And from 2013 till now, 7 years, we have been paying. And I was so pleased to hear the Honorable Deputy Premier and Minister of Land say in the House that the debt that was 10 million US dollars is now down to 2. The debt that was 10 million US dollars is now down to 2 million. Praise be to God. Praise be to God. Down from 10 to 2. Because we now have started to ensure that UTC in Trinidad gets their money. And we must ask the question of those who now come and tell you they have PhD in management and finance and accounting and agriculture and every subject under the book. They got learning and knowledge and they are experts. Where the money gone? Where has the money gone? These are some of the questions that we must ask when people come to try to say they're lecturing us. Because they had an opportunity in government, and what did they do? So you hear the blowhards now and the noisemakers, they come, they're just like 4th of July, you know, you got noisemakers, what they call it, Guy Fawkes. Lot of sound, lot of sound. Like when dogs are howling at the moon. Sound and fury, but no substance. Because if they had substance, they must first come and explain these kinds of numbers to the people of Nevis. And allow the people to understand where was all that money. You hear? Listen, it's 21.5 million US dollars Newfound paid for the land. You know? When you do that maths day, I don't have my calculator. But 20 million is what? 54 million EC. Then one is another 2.7. That's 57 million. Then 5 is another 1.3. That's close to 60 million EC dollars. That gone, poof. And you ain't pay back the debt. Then on top of that, you turn around and sell all the lots in Newfound. That money gone, poof. You ain't pay back the debt. To the point where the Trinidad company is saying, I am not prepared to sign off on anybody getting a transfer. So you have a lot of people that pay their money already and can't get the title. And we have now had to try to clean up that mess. That is the legacy. That is NRP in government. We know what happened at Land and Housing. You all hear anything about Land and Housing in the news? No. You anybody saying anything about Land and Housing? We have a minister, deputy premier who has been there. And when I was given the privilege of leading this party and taking us into an election and given the mandate by the people of Nevis, I said to him I wanted to continue to run Land and Housing. Because that was an institution riddled with scandal. Who not build house out of Land and Housing? Who not take up window? Whole situation up there where a set of steel went missing. You all remember that? How a man could thief bundles of steel? I thought bundle of steel need a crane or something to pick up. Looked like he had some strong fellas in NRP. They just put a bundle of steel on the head. Poof, that gone too. They got some houses here in Nevis, beautiful palatial mansions. All the doors and windows they come from Land and Housing. Container loads come in Land and Housing container. These are things we spoke about during the election. We had 2 members of the NRP formed a law firm whilst they were in the government. Whilst they were in positions in charge at Land and Housing, they formed a law firm that did all the work for Land and Housing. You think I'm making these things up? When I went into the House as a lowly member of the opposition, a lowly senator appointed on the opposition benches, and I said, Mr. Parry, you don't know. Mr. Parry, you don't know, Mr. Parry, what is going on. Do you know that your boys have formed a law firm called Uwali Attorneys? And that this law firm, Mr. Parry, is doing all the work for Land and Housing, when a member of the law firm is the chairman of the board, and another member is a member of the board. And when you see a transfer from Land and Housing, you see Land and Housing transferring to Mary Jane, and the chairman signs, the member signs for Land and Housing, and then they come back below as Uwali Attorneys and collect the money. Mr. Parry, Joe, did you know? And Joe said no, he didn't know. I was the one who broke the news. And you see them sit down like some shenche fowl, wet down shenche. They can't move, they can't say a word because they were caught with their pants around their ankles. Engaging in all manner of things up at that Land and Housing. You remember when we got in? Somebody broke in up there and stole the files. Y'all remember? We mustn't forget these things, you know. 2 things happened I thought were instructive. Treasury burned down and Land and Housing files get stolen. Treasury burned down, Land and Housing files get stolen. You be the judge. These are what used to happen. And then we see Land and Housing embarking on some curious transactions. We see a father get a house. Then he transfer the house to the son. We see a brother get transferred 3 times as much land for the little piece of land they had in Craddock Road. We see another brother get a house and land. We see a sister get a house and land. Even the missus. We met some land here to be sold. And when we got in, we stopped that transaction and said, good God, you mean you, father, brother, sister, and wife too? This is what was happening, ladies and gentlemen. So unless these fellows have had a road to Damascus moment, where they have been sitting on their donkey and traveling to Damascus, and were blinded, and then heard a voice from heaven and said to them that your name has been changed. You're no longer Saul, you will now be Paul. Huh? Unless you had that kind of moment where the Lord said to you that you will no longer be a lover of house and land, but a lover of people. You have no authority to lecture decent people. And that is the difficulty that I continue to have. Fellas who have raped and pillaged when they had the opportunity in government, and now come and say to members of the public, put us back so that we can rape and pillage some more. Or those who now in the autumn of their years have come and said, give us a chance because we have nothing else that we can do, no useful or productive activity to which we can turn our hands and our minds, despite our training and despite our education. And young people out there holding on 2 jobs, ain't got no degree, but know what it is to work hard, know what it is to be on time for work and to put in a hard day's work, an honest day's work for an honest day's pay, who know what it is to go down to Credit Union and First Caribbean and Republic Bank and Bank of Nevis and pay their mortgage, who work to put food on their table, and you're going to tell those people that you know what is best for them, but you're not working away. You're not working anywhere. And so sometimes when people say, Mr. Branton, you ain't see what they're saying about you, I say, no, study them. I'm at work. They have not been able to persuade one employer to give them work. And they have no capacity to create something for themselves. And so put other people to work. So I have no time. They have time. Some of them making noise and, oh my goodness. If you talk about business, they know everything about business. If you talk about agriculture, they know everything about agriculture. You talk about healthcare, oh my God, they were trained as doctors. If you talk about finance, oh, they have degrees and they were used to be on Wall Street. But they can't even get a little job as a greeter in Walmart. And I know Walmart is hiring because I checked the other day. And if Walmart won't hire, I know Kmart is looking for people. But not even that them can get. Not even that they can hold. So their one plan, their one hope is that they can somehow persuade the people of Nevis to let them put their snout in the public trough. That is all. They don't got no other plan. And that is why I'm saying to the people of Nevis that you must stand firm with those whom you have tested and tried, and those whom you recognize as being committed to you and to government. Look around Nevis. Ladies and gentlemen, I sound like I'm campaigning tonight, but I'm not really start yet, because the Big Blue machine still getting final little touches before we roll it out. So we're not really start yet. But I'm telling you, look around Nevis. Somebody told me the other day they had come home. So they drove on the piece of road there that we just do from Cotton Ground, which now has the cat eyes and the lights and the railings and everything, the signs. And the pastor said, my God, I thought I was on the highway, I-95, headed south from New York City. This felt like the Jersey Turnpike. I said, no, it's Nevis. It's a government that is working for the people. And we're not done yet. We're not done yet. We will continue to work because that is what you hired us to do. You elected us to do. To make things better, not for us, but for you. So when I go down to Four Seasons and they give me these numbers and tell me how things are looking. I go to the restaurants. I like to go around and visit. Everywhere full. People are eating and drinking and dining and enjoying all that Nevis has to offer. I say to God be the glory. When come the 13th? When is the 13th? Friday? That we have our VAT day. And our hard-working public servants are going for the 4th year in a row get a double salary. I say to God be the glory. It is not about us who are in government. It is about serving the people and providing for the people. When I saw a couple of days ago, the Azamara was in cruise ship, 700 and something passengers, and I saw the buzz around town. When tomorrow, and I hope the weather holds, the Small Enterprise Development Unit has organized something called the Boardwalk, where all along Hunkins Drive you're going to have tents set up and different vendors, because we have tomorrow the call of the largest ship for the season. A ship which I'm told will have over 1,200 passengers and maybe another 700 or so crew. You're going to have about 2,000 people descending on Nevis tomorrow. taxis, the small businesses, the vendors. That is what we are seeking to do. Create opportunity. Create opportunity. And allow our people an opportunity to earn. That's what the government is there for. And I regret that tomorrow I have the parliament in St. Kitts. I must be there for that. Because I would have liked to have been there part of this boardwalk, this phenomenal idea that the people at Sidhu came up with. To bring the people and to say, listen, welcome our guests and create. They say it's going to be like mini Culturama here. They're going to get masquerade and clowns, and the whole of Nevis is asked to come out and be a part of it. The artisan village, the heritage village, our beaches, our beach bars. We want the people to come and experience our Nevis, but we also want our Nevisians to ready themselves to reap the harvest. That is what we've been doing, ladies and gentlemen. When come January, our small business people can look forward to $5 million. Women and men who are under 35, because those are the two groups that we're targeting, can come and benefit. They have a good business idea and can borrow up to $100,000 to fund, provide a little seed money, because a lot of them would not qualify for a loan from the bank. It's a government that is thinking. A government that is thinking and is seeking to empower our people. So when I tell people ignore the noise, because noise can't get you away. You ever notice some people could cuss good? Their voice is loud and they love to cuss. Talk bad word, oh yes, that are them. Old people used to call them bad word maker. But when it comes to substance, when it comes to the ability to create something, when it comes to the ability to build, not them, don't look for them. I always remember one of the best sermons I've ever heard, preached by my very good friend. And he said that there are different people in the world. Some are seeking to pull the wagon up the hill. Some are behind doing their best to pull the wagon back down the hill. Some are sitting on top of the wagon, enjoying themselves. Well, I know that I and the CCM are trying to pull this Nevis up the hill. And while the progress is slow sometimes and frustrating sometimes, I know that we are making progress. And by the grace of God, we are going to get up the hill, because that is where we are going. And in that effort, whoever behind the wagon trying to pull it back down, and whoever sitting on top of the wagon wasting time, tell them it's better they jump in front of the wagon with us and start pulling up the hill. Because that is what we're seeking to do. And on that journey, ladies and gentlemen, my message to every Nevisian is to ignore the noise, to focus, and to keep the momentum. Because especially when you're pulling a wagon up the hill, if you lose the momentum, you know what happens? Start to slide back. Pulling, keeping the momentum. That is our message. Simple message. Look at the record. Do the comparison. Weigh us all in the balance and make your decision. Because that is what it's going to come down to. That is why I have little time for people who have an opinion on everything. They know how to win elections, but they never ran. They know how to advise and to strategize. But you look at them and you say, my goodness, why have you not put this strategy to work for yourself? They don't got the answer for that. Because they could solve all of your problems, but they can't solve their own. I'm reminded, good gentleman who was himself unemployed, decided he was running against me. And he sat down next to a youngster at a bar, and he leaned over to the youngster and asked the youngster, you working? The youngster said, no, me look a job. He said, well, I have a plan. When I get in, I'm going to create 300 jobs, because I'm going to do this and do that and do the other. The youngster listened to him politely, and then the youngster said, but boss, me and you in the same boat. Me now work, you now work. So you won't create a job for me, and you can't create a job for yourself. And that, as they say, is it? I heard one of the contestants of the last Culturama say, and it done there. And yes, it done right there. Because the youngster was right. You are saying to a youngster that you have it in you. You have the capacity, you have the ideas to create for that youngster opportunity in Nevis. But you and the youngster in the same boat. Youngster now work, and you now work. And so the youngster looks at you and says, my brother, you say you're going to do all this for me. How come you can't do it for yourself? It's a legitimate question. Very legitimate question. And so these are things I think we need to look at and to look at carefully when we decide what we're going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, this is On the Mark. I have a lot more that I can talk about, but I know that some people wanted to call. I know that the Brownhill Community Group sent me some information, so I'm going to open the phones now. I spoke to my brother Warren. He was supposed to call in this evening. So I'm going to open the phones and let the lines free. 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. Now, the message I got says if you're from the great metropolis of Brownhill, because you know how they behave. Bath was called the metropolis. Brownhill now calling themselves the great metropolis of Brownhill. Please note that a dumpster will be at the Maisie Bartlett Community Center this Friday, 13th of December, and over the whole weekend, the entire weekend, starting Friday. Please take advantage of this opportunity to get rid of your bulky items that the garbage truck will normally not take, like old furniture, your fridge, stove, etc. They said here they're not taking any dead animals, stone, or galvanized. I'm sorry, no dead animals, stone, galvanized, or concrete fixtures. But if you have white goods, stove, fridge, etc., they will take those. And they said that from Friday, this Friday, and all weekend, they'll have a massive dumpster there. You can come with your old television, clean up your yard, and bring this stuff there. And hear this. They're saying that if you have it at your yard and you can't somehow get it transported, not to worry. They have a truck and a backhoe, which will be made available. So you're asked to place your bulky items to the front of your yards. The backhoe and truck will take them to the bin. Starting time will be 8. Please tell your neighbors. So Warren, if you're listening, you can call in and give us a little more. I would appreciate it. But Brownhill doing things big as they do and trying to do a massive cleanup there in the village for Christmas. I also want to alert the general public that on the 22nd, let me just make sure I have the date right. It's the last Saturday before Christmas. Is that the 22nd or the 21st? Let me just confirm. Please forgive me. It will be on the 21st. The 21st of December, we're going to have a massive Christmas party. The Honorable Spencer Brand and I have teamed up for the last few years, and we're going to do it at occasions. Right there, Pinnies. The age group is 2 to 12. We have so many toys that I don't know what we're going to do with them. So please come and be a part of that. Drop off your children. We will take care of them from 1 o'clock until 5. 1 until 5 p.m. on the 21st, Saturday the 21st of December, the last Saturday before Christmas. If you have not yet bought any gifts, maybe you want to buy something special from you, mom or dad. But let me tell you, we have some beautiful gifts, and we have a lot. So the children are asked to come from St. John's and St. Paul's. The reason I'm specifying St. John's and St. Paul's is because the Honorable Alexis Jeffers and Keith Scarborough are going to be having children's parties in St. Thomas's. I believe they will be at the St. Thomas's school ground, primary school ground, and they're going to have one over at the playfield at VOJN. So they're having two, one in St. Thomas and one in St. James. And then the Honorable Eric Evelyn is having a massive event up at Hard Times for the children as well. And so we are spreading the good news and spreading the Christmas cheer all across the island. That has nothing to do with the block parties, because you know every Christmas, one thing about us, we spread out and we have block parties on every block and nook and cranny. So all the fellas up in Church Ground and Brown Pasture and Brownhill and Bath who say they know how to cook and they could cook fish and cook goat water and thing, you know that's where we be for the Christmas. We also having my annual domino tournament. Is going to happen in the metropolis of Bath this Christmas. That's being organized by Joe and Alfred and the boys. We are spreading the news and spreading the cheer all over Nevis. It's going to be a great season. And the optimism that I'm feeling in the island, the sense that things are turning around after a difficult year, a year where I never hid the fact that we were having a difficult year. I believe it's a good thing. I drove on Brownhill Road there today. And I'm telling you, kudos to you, Minister Brand. I see you're getting ready to do the end part of Craddock Road before we finish off for the year. Kudos to you. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of work is being done for the benefit of the people. I sat with somebody from Craddock Road. You know what they told me? They're 62 years old, and Craddock Road was never touched in their lifetime. And I know I moved to Brownhill when I was 8, and I'm now 50, and Brownhill was not touched in my lifetime until now. To God be the glory. Let's go to the phones. Callers, if you can call 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Let's take our first caller. Caller, good evening. You're on the mark.
Good evening, Mr. Brantley. How are you doing, sir?
I am well, thank you. Good evening to you.
Yes, this is Warren Pemberton. Just calling to thank you for making the announcement. You pretty much said a lot of what we plan to do with regards to the cleanup. Yes, that will be, well, from this Friday, we'll have the bin available next to the Lazy Bartley Community Center.
Yes.
Yeah, this Friday, the 13th, the bin will be available for pickup. On Saturday, though, that's when the backhoe and the truck will be available to come around to the residents of Brownhill to collect these bulk items. As I said, we're looking for items such as bulk items like fridge and stove and furniture, but the dead animals and the galvanized and the concrete items, those are the items that we would be accepted. We won't be accepting, according to the Navy Solid Waste Management, the policies.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we want to encourage everybody in the Brownhill who's listening. If you talk to your neighbor, talk to somebody, if they know they have bulk items that they need to get rid of for the Christmas season, you need to get these items out of your yard to make some room for new ones for the Christmas. This is the opportunity, and we want everybody to take advantage of it in the Brownhill area. All right, as I said, this Saturday, we're going to be picking up the garbage from 8 with a backhoe and a truck.
So you have a backhoe and a truck available and the dumpster?
Yes. Thanks to the Public Works Department and the Navy Solid Waste Management for giving some assistance in those regards.
Okay, brother.
Yeah. And also, too, one more thing. I want to announce that the Brownhill Community Management Team again will be having its annual Christmas tree lighting next week, Wednesday, the 18th of December. We have a Christmas tree lighting right there at the community center as well, the Lazy Bartley Community Center. We want the residents of the Brownhill to come on out, and not just the residents of Brownhill as well. We want the wider division community to come out to a very exciting and enjoyable tree lighting as we celebrate the birth of Christ. So I wanted to get that out there also.
What's the date again?
The 18th of December.
The 18th.
Next Wednesday.
And I want to join with you in inviting all of Brownhill, because we're going to have lots to eat and drink. It's going to be definitely a great party as usual.
Definitely. This year is supposed to be the biggest, hopefully.
Yes, I agree.
And we want to also say thanks to persons out there in the diaspora who has been giving us some donations and assistance as well in those regards. They know who they are. I don't have their names to hand right now, but I just want to say thanks to everyone who has been assisting us over the years.
All right.
We'll continue to as well.
All right, brother.
All right, so thanks a lot for the time.
Okay, excellent. And I think that's an excellent initiative to try and clean up Brownhill. They have the dumpster. They have now gone further and have a backhoe and truck available to take the things to the dumpster. And I want to thank Solid Waste for the initiative as well in partnering with these communities and invite other communities to do something similar. Talk to Mr. Andrew at Solid Waste Hendrickson. Excellent manager. Talk to him, and I'm sure he'll be more than willing to partner with you as we continue to keep Nevis clean. And I was at a particular restaurant some night ago, and as I got up, there was a table with four people there. Turned out that they were from the States, but the United States, but they indicated that they had been coming to Nevis for, one said, I think over 30 years. And as I was walking out, they stopped me and said hello and introduced themselves, and said they stopped me because they wanted to just say how beautiful Nevis looked. and how clean the island appeared. And I said, you know, it is sometimes the people who are putting in that type of work that we overlook. And so I want to thank Andrew and his team, Rudy and the entire team, and the guys who are out there on the truck who keep Nevis clean, who go around every day, because we only start to make noise in Nevis when something goes wrong, you know. When it goes right, we often forget to say thank you. So I want to celebrate with them. Let's go to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hey man, good evening, sir.
Good evening, brother. How are you?
I'm all right.
Mm.
I'm just calling in to invite the people of Rollins to a meeting over by the Christmas tree by Jewish shop tomorrow evening at 6:30, and the main discussion is the Christmas tree lighting on the 21st of this month. So we're inviting everybody to bring their ideas and so on, and so we just so that everybody can be on the same page in terms of our big Christmas tree lighting on the 21st of December.
Okay, and you all are, I'm told, going to have a great time up there.
Oh yeah. As we always do, we always have a great time up in Rollins. So tomorrow we confirm all of that, and so that everybody can be on the same page.
Okay, and so give us the date again of the meeting.
Tomorrow evening at 6:30.
And when is the date of the Christmas tree lighting?
On the 21st of December. It's going to be on Saturday, the 21st of December.
Okay. All right, my brother.
Okay, man.
Take good care.
Have a good time and continue doing good for your country. Yeah?
Thank you, brother. I will continue to do my best.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot. And I know that the people of Rollins up there have so much to celebrate. You know, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, they have really been soaring in terms of just getting things done. I know when they had the opening day of the new the name is so dramatic. I can't remember the name. It's something center. I know it's named for the Wicked Pfeiffer, but it is Center of Excellence. That's what it's called. Center of Excellence. And I said to myself, you know, only boasting Gingerland people will come up with them kind of name there, you know. Center of Excellence. I thought that was very, very interesting that they've come up, but it's such a beautiful venue that they've created there at Gingerland. And the Honorable Eric Evelyn is doing well. I think the people are with him, they're rallying with him, and the people are really excited about it. And so, you know, the facility up there which just hosted Culturama, the David Freeman Center of Excellence, multi-purpose facility. They're going to do all kinds of things there, and I think it is money that is well spent. But Gingerland people are going so bad nowadays that one of them asked me if Culturama going to be up in Gingerland next year. Yeah? So Culturama going to be up here next year because up here look better than Cultural Village and Culturama Complex. That is how they're going on. So I tell them, I say, man, you know, we're going to put some tents and thing up there for sure, because I think that semi-finals and thing, and definitely no, we have a big venue up there. And so the idea really is one whose time has come. So congrats. And the man Wise who just called in is a man in the community, has always been there for Rollins, you know, always pushing, you know, the cricket at hard times, etc. I mean, people like these who give real human service in the community. And so I really thank them, and I encourage them to continue to press on. The numbers again to call if you want to be a part of this show are 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Just to remind people that we had here Mr. Nisbet, who was with us, the one and only man they call Miser, and he was here to promote the St. Paul's Anglican Church is having a boat ride to Montserrat, and that will be on Boxing Day. So you can contact them for your tickets and to go to Montserrat and spend the day there. He said the vessel is only going to take an hour and a half or thereabouts, and so people are encouraged to go. Let me go back to the phones and take some more calls. It is about 9:30, so we're going to take as many calls as we can until the end of the show, 10. Let's go to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Premier Brantley. How you doing, sir?
I am well. How are things with you?
I am doing pretty good myself.
Yes.
Great program as usual.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, you're laying out some serious, solid facts.
But I have to. How are things with you? How are things with you on Gingerland?
Things are pretty good. We're definitely, up here it's a little chilly.
Uh-huh.
You know, Gingerland is the heart of the cold weather.
Mhm.
So it's a little chilly up here, a little windy, but we are doing fine. I want to just highlight a few little things. I want to first and foremost to say thanks to all who would have supported our dance on this past Saturday at Revere House. I think it was a resounding success again. I think there's no other group that does a dance like Empire. And I really want to thank folks for their support. I think it went down exceptionally well. And it was good to see you and the Madam there, Honorable Premier.
Mhm.
It was very good to see you there. Thanks for the support. So I want to thank everybody for their support. And our seniors from Hanley's Road, they would have had their outing, their annual outing this past Monday, compliments the Empire Sports Club. And, of course, they would have had a fabulous time once again. They had lunch at Golden Rock, and this is the 15th year that the seniors of Hanley's Road is getting this special outing in December. And I really want to thank all of our partners for partnering with us, the Department of Social Services, the bus drivers, the Golden Rock Hotel, and all others who assist in that outing for our seniors from Hanley's Road. I know that this is the time when there's a lot of clashes, and so there are a lot of clashes for the Christmas tree lightings. Our Christmas tree lighting in Hanley's Road is next week, Wednesday, the same time with yours in Brownhill. But that's okay, because every year we have these clashes, because there are so many communities that now want to have Christmas tree lightings that these clashes must happen. So our lighting is also next week, Wednesday, the 18th of December, at 7:30 at the grounds there at the community grounds. It's going to be held under the patronage of Denzel Piggy Brown. And during the ceremony, we will be collecting a little offering because we want to assist. We do a lot of things for the community, our club. And so we want to assist two persons from the community who have some serious medical expenses to take care of. And so I'm asking for persons who are coming to the tree lighting in Hanley's Road next Wednesday to walk with a little something in your pocket. We're going to pass around a little donation, a collection box. So we want to assist these two individuals in the community. And so we are asking persons to bring a little donation with you. I also want to inform, I know you already mentioned the children's party, but I also want to mention that as well. The children's party for St. George, Gingerland, will be on Saturday, the 21st of December. Now, I know if Wise is listening, he's probably wondering, why is it on the 21st of December? That's the same time with the Rollins Christmas tree. However, the children's party will be in the day from 1 o'clock. By 5 o'clock, it will be over, and so persons can go back to be at the Christmas tree lighting in the evening. So the children's party for St. George children will be on Saturday, the 21st of December, at the Hard Times playing field from 1 o'clock. So it's a day activity. The Christmas tree lighting is a night activity. So there's absolutely nothing to worry about. Children can come to the party, and then they can be at the Christmas tree lighting in the evening. And so I just want to invite the children of St. George Gingerland to be at the Hard Times playing field on Saturday, December 21st from 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And I think all in all, things are shaping up well, Premier Brantley, and I believe that we're going to have a wonderful season. And Premier, the more the talk, the stronger this party gets, and the more Nevis moves on. So let's just continue to ignore the noise.
But, Minister, you're on the line here, and I mean, the point I was making, I actually made reference to you earlier, that some of us, because of how we have conducted our lives and lived among people and been always there to help in whatever way we can, that when the opportunity comes to serve people in a different capacity, it doesn't come as a surprise.
Precisely.
Others now jump up because they have no other option. They have bills to pay, and they're saying, I can't find a work, I can't create a business, I can't do anything, so let me try a thing, basically, to see if I could get into government.
Indeed.
And they come now, and they are trying to play a role that they're not accustomed to.
Precisely.
And it shows. It shows, and that's the point that I'm trying to make. When I heard Eric Evelyn was coming, his Gingerland people asked for you.
Precisely. Indeed.
And when
I've always told people, Mr. Premier,
yes,
my life is an open book, and it will remain an open book. And I will always tell people, I went in with my hands clean, and I will come out with them cleaner. And that's my mantra.
Well, I don't think you need to say a thing else. And somebody told me last night that when they look at the David Freeman Center of Excellence, they're going to vote you till you're 80. I tell them, I say, no man, Lord, the man going to retire before then. You know, they say, yeah, they're going to vote because they're so impressed. And that is what I'm saying. You came and you said to the cabinet, I want this thing done. And we haggle over everything, as you know, because, you know, when it comes to the money, I'm a hard taskmaster.
Yes, and you should be.
Right? But at the end of the day,
You
all
have
of
to
us
be prudent.
recognize the value
Of course.
of what you are seeking to do in Gingerland. And look at how proud Gingerland people are today.
Precisely.
As a result, that is what you talk about, doing projects and trying to help in the community in a meaningful way.
Indeed.
And to build a legacy that lives long beyond you. It's not about you. You didn't do something to make $1 out of the project in Gingerland.
Not at all.
So this is this is what I'm saying, and people can see that difference.
And as Weber would say, while they talk, the caravan rolls on.
Well, and
Okay.
it roll in a major way for
A
Christmas. I can
very
tell
good
you.
way.
All right,
For
my
all of
brother.
us in Nevis.
All right, my brother.
Thank you very much, and you have a good night.
Take care. You keep up the good work.
All right, thanks.
All right,
Bye.
good. That was the Honorable Eric Evelyn, the mayor of Hanley's Road, calling in there and sharing some information about all the activities and the fun that he's having. Just to remind the general public that Eric Evelyn is going to be having his massive Christmas party, separate and apart of the Christmas tree lighting that will happen in Hanley's Road. And they're happening all over. They're happening in Rollins, Hanley's Road, Zion, all over the community. We're going to be having them, of course, in St. John's and St. Paul's. We're having them, of course, in St. Thomas's and St. James as well. All over Nevis, Christmas tree lightings. But we're also having some parties which are very specific for our children to spread the Christmas cheer. And so parents, if you're out there, you're worried about Christmas gifts, don't worry. We have gifts in a bundle, gifts galore. So don't worry, some really nice gifts. I myself, one of them was so nice, I tried it out, I almost fell when I got on this particular, piece of equipment. Let me put it that way. And so I had to say, I have to remember my age. If I get broken bones at this age, it's a little more difficult. So, but we have some nice gifts. We have lots of gifts. And so we're inviting people to come out as we spread out across the island. Honorable Alexis Jeffers and Keith Scarborough are going to have a session right there in St. Thomas's at the St. Thomas's school, primary school grounds. Then they go over to the what's it called over there now? I'm drawing a blank now for the school. The name of the school, VOJ school grounds over there. Forgive me, VOJ school grounds. And then of course the Honorable Eric Evelyn is going to have his grand party up at Hard Times playing field for the whole of Gingerland, all the children. And I am going to have mine together with the Honorable Spencer Brown at occasions, where we normally go there and partner with my good cousin Dr. Pat Bartlett and the team there from Brownhill. We partner with them at occasions each year. We're doing this, in fact, this year I'm told is the 13th year. I believe we miss a year or two, because I think it's been longer than 13 years, but the flyer says the 13th year, so I'll work with that. And we'll be there, and you have lots to eat and drink. So parents, we're asking you to drop off the children on Saturday the 21st of December at occasions for 1 o'clock. Leave them with Spence and I. We will take care of them. And we will make sure that they're safe, they're fed, that they have fun. We have bouncing castle, we have slides, we have roller skates, we have bicycles, we have indoor and outdoor activities. And they will have fun. They will get as much to eat as they want. Then they will get some beautiful gifts to bring home. And so we're asking you to come out. We normally get about 200 to 300 kids. And so we're hoping that the children come out in their numbers. Ages 2 to 12. 2 to 12. And the gifts are age appropriate. So we want them to come in that age group, 2 to 12, and to come and get the gifts. We don't want any gifts left back. We want everybody to have an excellent Christmas. So please bring the children out and let them have a fun afternoon with us in a safe, enclosed environment. And I know that over the years that has been a hit. In fact, the last time a young man came and he said to me that he was now in high school and he had come to my Christmas party since he was 2. And I smiled to myself because he told me he was now 13. And he had come to everyone since he was 2 years old. And so that is what, as I said, when you're embedded in the community and you're accustomed to doing things in the community, you have longevity in the community of working. And then that's a beautiful thing that you do. While I'm here, and I'm talking some politics, and I was, discussing. I think that people are out there and people are listening because somebody just sent me here a letter being sent around here to people. I started a practice of sending a letter to the new voter registrants to welcome them to the electoral process and naturally to ask for their support. But good ideas are often followed. That is not no problem. But we have a letter that is being sent out here by one of the NRP candidates. And he's sending this letter out to voters. And hear what the letter says in part. He says, I am your only candidate of choice in the upcoming elections. I am your only candidate of choice in the upcoming elections. He says, that's not a piece that I want. Let me see the piece here that I want. Oh, yes. He says this. He says, I am a former president of the Fitzroy Bryant College, where I pioneered programs and incentives that facilitated greater access for Nivisions to the college. I further served as the permanent secretary for the Ministry of Agriculture for 7 years. Currently, I want you all to listen to this part here. It's a letter from a candidate for NRP. He says, currently, I have established myself in the community. No, wait, let me go back. Currently, I have established myself in the business community as a successful entrepreneur. And with my experience, expertise, and vision, if elected, I will advance the cause of all Nivisions. Well, it looks like they changed the meaning of the word entrepreneur. And it looks like they changed the meaning of the word successful. The man says he's established himself in the business community as a successful entrepreneur. And with his experience, expertise, and vision. Expertise and vision. Lord, let me leave that. Because the only failed chicken farmer in Nevis, chicken is something that people eat more than fish. If you can't make it as a chicken farmer in Nevis, something will be wrong with you. And to use language about establish yourself in the business community as a successful entrepreneur. Them words sound so nice. If only people know that this is the last chance salon here. Last chance. And that is why at 60 years old, you're asking the people, please, I beg you, give me a job. Successful entrepreneur. Successful entrepreneur should be able to show you. I employ 10, 15 people. This is what I've done, established. I mean, where are we going in the country, really and truly? We will have an opportunity to examine all of us. And if, I believe it's the Calypsonian singer, his name, Conris, who says, show me your trophy. After a certain point in your life, you must got some trophy, man. You must got a couple of things that you've accomplished and put in the cupboard so people could see. But you could point to them and say to people, well, because of that, I'm asking you to allow me to do this. Because I can do. You can see what I've accomplished and what I've achieved and what I've done. I've opened a little business. I know what it is to make payroll. I know what it is to empower people. I've done this. I've assisted here. I've assisted there. I've worked in the community. I've sponsored this, that, and the other. I've done all these things. Give me an opportunity for me to do more. But when the answer is, I have done nothing. And even the few little things I was asked to do, oh Lord, my mind is telling me to go and speak about the CFBC audit report. But I will leave that because Christmas is coming. And we don't want to give anybody any undue heartache about CFBC. But I will just remind everybody that CFBC report says that $800 and some odd thousand was collected at CFBC, but only 300 and something thousand reached the bank. And somehow it appears the money was transported on a pickup truck from CFBC to National Bank, and $423,000 dropped off the truck. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good night to the Honorable Premier Mark Manley. Good night.
Good night to your brother.
Yeah, Mark, I just want to wish all of you in Nevis a blessed, happy Christmas when it comes. Wish you all the best in your endeavoring. Want to just say a little few words. Mark,
Yes.
be truthful. We in an election year coming up soon next year. And I think that this government do as much as they can done in less than 5 years. I believe that the people are going to have no choice to elect back the CCM and elect back the PLP and elect back the People's Action Movement. And we will gain more seats. And then we will continue to do the performance of the ordinary man and woman in the Federation of Sinkit and Nevis. Because that is where we want unity. And without unity, nothing can work. This divisive politicalness we had all the time. You know, some people just doing as they like as one man. Turning up the country, doing all kind of things, and feel like the country was it. I mean, I was listening to Parliament when I was passing took it out home. I was listening. I was there listening it. I thought the opposition will really, somebody in the opposition said a word on it, especially somebody like Patrice Nisbet, because Lewis has get a lot of dung basket under that farm administration. You understand? No look about. And look at it now with this unity government, the performance to the NA Lewis. Man, we got to come better than that. And I know tomorrow will come be interesting in Parliament because a lot of things to say, a lot of things. I hear a lot of people talking about the budget, or the budget going to be this, the budget going to be that, and no surplus and all kind of things. All at once, now they find all kind of things to say about them. But let me tell you something, that the people of the Federation getting political wiser and wiser. And I just want to big up more Lynn Hill over there in Nevis, Hilly in Cotton Ground, and all my good friends, up there, my brother Joseph Pollard and his wife Pat, Mr. Gager, my cousin. I want to wish all of them all the best. Mark, you have a wonderful night. God bless you, brother.
Thank you, my brother, and thank you for all your calls. We'll hope to have a show next week, God willing, so we'll see how it goes. So you may get yet another opportunity closer to Christmas to say Merry Christmas, okay? All right, let's go back to the phones. It is quarter to the hour of 10 o'clock. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Good night, my Premier.
Good evening to you. How are you?
I'm not too good. I have a cold.
Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Anyway, I just called to tell you that we CCM, we have the momentum.
Yes.
Okay, so have a good night.
All right, my dear. And I need to come and see you as usual. So I will see you for Christmas, okay? God willing. All right. And as you say, we do have the momentum, but the momentum is obvious because when people have resorted now to sending out letters to voters and overstating their accomplishments, one only has to laugh. One only has to laugh and say, well, what is this? Because, again, people know you. And if you say you're a successful businessman, people will ask, well, where you place a business there? How much people work for you? Well, you got an office somewhere? People want to ask these questions. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Mr. Bradley.
Good evening to your brother.
Just one small question.
Yes.
Are we having any sports at the Mango Track this Christmas?
No, not that I'm aware of. For Christmas, no.
Okay. All right.
Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? Okay, we've lost that caller. Caller, can you please call back? 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call to be a part of the show. We have about 10 minutes left, which means that we can take a few calls. So if you're out there and you want to call in, then please do. And let us get your calls in and let us be a part of the show for the last 10 minutes that we have. This show ends at 10 o'clock, and we're here, of course, every Wednesday from 8 to 10 with something that we think is of interest. And if you're just tuned in, you're listening to On the Mark. I'm your host, Mark Brantley. And, of course, you're listening to the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse, VON Radio, the voice of Nevis, 860 on your AM dial or www.vonradio.com. Let's go back to the phones and take your calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
My Premier, again,
Yes.
is me. I called you to tell you, it's so sweet. I'm feeling the momentum all the next year. I feel nice, see? CCM, I'm feeling great.
All right.
Have a good night.
Good. You have a good night as well, and I hope that cold clears up and I will come and see you soon. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? Hello? Okay, caller.
Hello.
Yes, you're on the mark. Go ahead.
Hey, Mark.
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening. You're saying something about four point something $million missing from the Treasury and the NRP.
No, I never said anything like that.
Okay. You said some money gone boof then.
No, I said I was talking about the accumulation of debt.
Okay. You know where some of the money gone?
I don't know.
I will tell you, some gone by the dragger's truck.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. With the money that the Honorable Premier Vance had for in National
Scotiabank? Yes.
That's where the money gone into the dragger's truck. Have a good night, boss.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I don't know, caller, because we were never told. And during those years, as I said at the start of the show, we didn't have any audited reports. And then, after we got in, Treasury burned down, files stolen up at London Housing. This is what this country went through, you know. This country went through a period of real criminality. Real criminality as people tried to cover their tracks. Treasury burned to the ground. Main building, the intent there was not only to cover tracks but cripple the government, because this is the nerve center of the government, the Treasury. So all the records, who get paid, who's owed, all the records. Sometimes even now, I'm asking for records and I'm told nothing there, because they had to reconstitute as best as they can. Gone up in smoke. So, caller, I don't know if money was spent, if that money, I'm sorry, was spent on the drag strip. The drag strip was built. And I know that the guys are over there and they're doing an excellent job trying to make that drag strip work now and trying to put a proper program in place for it. We ourselves, since we have got into office, have invested in the drag strip to make it even better and a better experience for the drivers, because we know we have a small but growing community of drivers and enthusiasts here in Nevis and in St. Kitts and in neighboring islands as well. But I'm telling you, I cannot say with any certainty that that money went there, because we just don't know. Matter of fact, my understanding was that that drag strip was actually done by Surrey Paving, and Surrey took some land as security and built it. Basically, as I understood it, it was done on credit, meaning that we were having to pay Surrey Paving at regular intervals for the drag strip, and had some lands securing the debt. So I'm not convinced that that drag strip was done cash. That drag strip appeared to have been done via debt to Surrey Paving. So, caller, you may well be wrong, but you take me back to where I started, because here we have these fellas criticizing us about debt, when from 2008 to 2011 they put on $143.36 million in debt in 4 years. From 2013 to 2019, 7 years, we have put on $66.74 million. Less than half of what they did in 4. So, the facts are there and the comparison is there. And it will be a matter for the people then to say who, in their view, has managed things better. CCM or the NRP, the record is there. That is why after 5 years, the people planned to kick them out, and they went and disenfranchised all these people, took the names off the list the night before, told people they couldn't vote, and that's why we went to court and we won. And then went to the polls and won overwhelmingly. That is what happened, you know. When they figured they had lost the people were no longer with them, they decided to take off. I remember, and I always remind the good people in Cane Garden, that they went up into Cane Garden asking people for their name and leading the people to believe that somehow they wanted their name in order to do some government program and follow up, only to take those poor people's name back to the registry, the electoral office, and take off all of them. I don't believe anybody in Cane Garden was able to vote in 2011, or hardly any. Take them off because they say the Guyanese support CCM. That was the talk. The Guyanese support CCM. But why were the Guyanese supporting CCM is because of the treatment that the NRP gave to the Guyanese. Let us not forget, you know. People couldn't even go in town on a Friday afternoon to have a beer. Round them up, lock them up, send them out, put thing on the computer system in immigration so they cannot come back in, as if these people were criminals. That's how they were treated. Let us never forget. So when they thought the Guyanese were not with them, it was because of the treatment. But look at Cane Garden today. Look at Cane Garden today. The CCM opened up Nevis in a way and said to people, listen, you all Caribbean brothers and sisters, come. And look at the quality of housing in Cane Garden. It's a beautiful community. We just went in there and did some work on the road to try and improve things. Beautiful, beautiful homes inside of there. That is what visionary governments do. And then governments that lack vision, they try to attack people. They go after them. And that is really what happened. Went after them, round them up. Used to got a paddy wagon going around Charlestown. And once you look Guyanese, they pick you up and got you ready for deportation. Send people out of here. And then when the people try to come back, sometimes years later, they have a red flag in the system of immigration saying they can never re-enter St. Kitts and Nevis. Them things are only for terrorists and criminals. And that's how they had the people being treated. Let us not forget these things. Because sometimes, you know, as time goes by, people start to forget. And they start to say, oh, you know, I remember there was a couple from the Dominican Republic, lived here, got business here, got car here. Their entire life is here. And the woman with a little baby in her arms, she and the husband picked up and at the lockup for deportation. You know why? Because they see the husband talking to me. Simple like that. They are waiting deportation. We had to run to court. And it led to a famous case where the judge spanked the NRP government. Say, no, you can't treat people like that. You have no proper cause. The man has done nothing. But the attitude was, you all forget the Guyanese lady who over voting at the Ivor Walters Primary School, who was forced, listen to me, forced to take a picture of her ballot to show that she voted for the NRP candidate in order for her to get a work permit. You all forget that? Don't forget these things. Because rather than processing a work permit for the young lady and treating her with some dignity and decency, they tell this young woman, you must take a picture of your ballot to show that you voted for NRP. Otherwise, you can't get a work permit. And so out of desperation, this young lady went in. And when my poll clerk heard it click, she said, what that? And they found her with the phone. And when the lady came out, she called out to the NRP activists and called out, shouted out his name. He said, don't call my name, I know you're not. And the poor woman was taken off to court. And before you could blink, put on a plane and sent to Guyana. She called this very show from Guyana. This very show she called to say what happened. Ladies and gentlemen, we must not forget these things. We must not forget these things. So sometimes when people say, oh, me not vote, I mean, no care about no politics, understand that these things have consequences for you. And the things that have been done, if you don't be careful, will be done again. That is why we have to guard the hen house, because the foxes are out there. They want to come in, you know. They want to come in. The foxes are out there. We must guard the hen house. And we don't know in Nevis. We don't say no more black fox down in Cox. We don't say that. We don't say that. Calypsonian and all sing about that. And since then, we have been on a path of success. Remove them, that black fox in Cox. Take that out of the place. So the foxes continue to circle. They're watching the hen house. They're watching the treasury. They won't get in. Be careful. Let's take this last call for the evening. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Mine, who got Coca's son. Look who rain.
Rain a come.
Keep your eye out, now. Keep your eye out. Rain a come. Okay.
Oh Lord, You couldn't have ended the show on a better note. All over Cocoa Sun, rain a come. That is language that our grandparents taught us. And for those of you who are not from here who don't understand, it is merely saying, if you know you got things out there, skeleton in your closet, be careful. If you got cocoa out of sun, rain coming. So be careful. Careful how you attack people, be careful what you say, because your record will be examined. And everybody in the country, in fact, I'm asking some calypsonians and sinkers to ask the question, how did $423,000 drop off the pickup truck from CFBC to National Bank? That's a good question to ask. Astro, man, all of you are here to make finals down in singles, going semi-finals and thing. I know a Nevis man looking to be crowned king this year. Hollywood, ask the question for me. How did $423,000 drop off the pickup truck from CFBC to National Bank? That's our show. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a good show. I'm happy to have been here with you tonight. We've had some fun. We've shared some information. And I'm telling you that we're ready for the road. We're getting ready. The Big Blue Machine is just getting final little touches. And when we hit the road, oh my goodness gracious, all of our cocoa, our son, tell them we're a come. That's our show for this evening. The show is rebroadcast tomorrow right here on Von Radio at 1 p.m. A wonderful show. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being